AppSec certification, penetration, test, better than the rest. This one dedicated to all those who complete the AppSec certification, the ones who not fault and not waver, the ones who try hard and get braver. You must not fail, you must not nigga the bus, try harder, you must. AppSec, say try harder, only way to get your OSCP. You must try harder, harder than you can believe, cause that they AppSec philosophy. AppSec, say try harder, only way to get your OSCP. You must try harder, harder than you can believe, cause that they AppSec.
Hey guys, Dopamine with you again. It was just 2 days ago that I posted a video. The reason for coming back again very quickly is that I had made some good progress. I thought I would share with you guys because my memory is weak and I might forget. So if it does not benefit me, I thought at least let it benefit you. So for the past 2 days, I was only covering the privilege escalation. The last 2 days was very exciting. I might have explored half of the internet and then found out the possible privilege escalations which can be done on Windows and Linux. Yeah, I'm over exaggerating by saying that half the internet, but what I have done is I have gone into several post-exam reviews, advice given from several portals, several courses. I combined all those things and then made some notes I thought I would share with you guys. In today's video, I'm just going to share you two things, which is Windows privilege escalation and Linux privilege escalation. So this video is dedicated just for these two components, Windows privilege escalations and Linux privilege escalations. Let's look at what I have. For any privilege escalation, we need to first gather some details. And here are the details which we'll be gathering from a Windows system. We'll have an operating system version. We'll see what are the network connections, the firewall settings. I'll not go through everything. These are the manual steps. At some point in time, I would be posting all these as a organized note somewhere, maybe GitHub or somewhere here. Or if you want to take notes now, you can pause the video and take the details here, but that's not what I'm intending to do today. I'll give an overview on what exactly to look for when you are looking for the privilege escalations. First, you need to gather the system information, and then there are a set of things which you can look for. One such thing is unquoted service path. What this means is every service which runs on Windows would have a binary path associated with it. When you enumerate the service using this command, sc-qc, it's like querying the service. It will give you a binary path to the program or to the service. Typically, it should have quotes whenever there is a space in the path. For instance, the right way to give a path would be like this. Sometimes the service doesn't come along with this double quotes or a quote. The vulnerability because of this is that whenever the service has to be executed, which is the service.exe has to be executed, it will go through like this. It will stop till the space. It will try to find, okay, so program itself is an exe. Let me find for it. So it will look for C program.exe. Then when it doesn't find, it goes back to the next path, which is program. There is no space, so it continues. Okay, so some folder. So there is a space between these two. So it considers the sum as an exe and then tries to find, okay, let me find sum.exe within this. And when it doesn't find, then only it goes to service.exe. The vulnerability is that because these are not quoted and the Windows system by default looks for a program whenever there is an empty space given, we can create our own file somewhere in between these folders. Anyway, I'm not going through in depth right now. So this is one kind of vulnerability which you can explore. It requires three things. It should have an unquoted path. Along with it, you should be able to write somewhere within these folders, or else how are you going to create the file, right? And then you should be having permission to restart the service. When you do this service query, you'll get to know whether you have the permission to restart the service or not. Okay, That's one thing. And then if you want to check if you have permissions to write to that folder, you can use this command. It will give you if you have permissions or not. The other one is modifying the binary service path. It is similar to the uncoded service path, but here you have the permission to change the path itself. Remember, I told you that running this command will give you the binary path. You can replace this binary path with your malicious code. What you would do is you'd create an malicious exe and then map it here. The other thing is always installed elevated setting. This exploits the vulnerability that whenever an MSI package is installed in Windows, it runs with an elevated permission. So first you can check if this is enabled using these two registry queries, and then you can create an MSI payload and then run it as quiet mode. Running in quiet mode disables the UAC. So that's the beauty of it. And then unattended installs. This just means that whenever an automation is used within a Windows operating system, they'll utilize some kind of configuration files to supply the username and password. Typically these are the places where you can find those. So if you can search, you will find details about the credentials, and it would be an easier way for you to exploit the system. All of these are manual. When you use WinPs, like I suggested in my previous video, it does an amazing job. It finds all of these vulnerabilities for you and then gives you kind of highlight with the color codes. And this one more beautiful tool, the Windows Exploit Suggester. This you don't have to run it from your victim system. You can run it on your Kali Linux. You just run the system info command from your victim system, get that output, keep it in a text file. And when you feed this text file to Windows Exploit Suggester, it gives you possible vulnerability which you can exploit with the MSI code, with the CV number. And this command updates the database because every day there is a vulnerability, right? So it updates the database and then compares it with the system info. What this does is it takes the patch version and the service pack details from the system info, feeds onto this Python, and then compares with this database. You can look for the scheduled tasks. Okay, there is a manual query which you can run, but then again this can be if you run WinPs, that will also give you this information. There is another method which you can do, which is to search for the passwords from the registry. This might sound funny, but take this example. When someone saves password in a PuTTY session or from the PuTTY software, it would be saved in a registry. So when you try to run a query with password to the entire registry, you might find some passwords, which is amazing, right? So you don't have to crack, you just go find, and then you might get password. You might be lucky, who knows? So give it a try. And then you can also look into saved credentials. Again, use WinPs. And that's an amazing tool, guys. So it will go search for the entire system and then look for the saved passwords and then list it for you. Then you can look into the configuration files, like I said earlier, usually the unattended files which I gave you last time. Then you can take from the SAM database. These are located here. Obviously you cannot access it, but you might get lucky. There might be backup of the SAM file in this two locations. I think that's enough for the Windows. Let me show you what I have for Linux.